We're just going to take them off. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. It depends whenever you're seeing this video. It's time to talk about the most important thing in life, football, specifically the most important division in the NFL, the AFC North. The AFC North, the most physical, brutal, absolutely excruciating brand of football that you can get in the National Football League. It's time to talk about it, guys. Who doesn't want to talk about it? I certainly do. I'm gonna yap about a bunch of nothing, but you know what? We're gonna have a great time. Great sit down. You wanna grab a snack, something. Tune in. Let's go. Let's go. This is a ghetto setup right now. All the budget went into this little microphone. It is what it is. Football. Even though I got the Rodman shirt on. So I'm gonna let it be known now. I'm a Steelers fan. But I'm not a biased Steelers fan. I'm not going to sit here and hate on the Ravens, Bengals, and Browns. I have respect for all the teams in the division. Do I have some hatred towards certain players? Yes, but I keep my biases away talking sports. All right, maybe a little biased, but that won't come to my official rankings when we get down to the meat of this. All right. So here's how I'm gonna do this. I don't want to waste you guys' time. We're gonna make this a quick video. You guys get a good sense of how I feel about the game. How I feel about the game. Yeah, young, and I'm gonna tell you how I feel about the game. But at the end of the day, we're just here having fun, and these are more for myself to look back at the end of the season and see how good I was with the predictions and all that. So, starting off first, Cleveland Browns. Now, Cleveland last season obviously did not go the way I think most of us expected. I think most people expected the Browns to be around that playoff hunt. You know, I don't know if anybody was really predicting them to win the division, but I certainly saw them doing a lot better than they ended up doing. Of course, only 3 wins last year. 2 of them came against the divisional rivals, Steelers and Ravens, which I definitely think the Browns this year I'm a little bit more optimistic on them now. So, to start about the Browns, let's talk about the draft. In the draft, they traded down from number 2 to 5 and getting an additional first round pick in 2026 from the Jacksonville Jaguars, which honestly, Browns, I like this trade. Now, with that being said, passing on a dual Carter, in my opinion, I think would have been the better pick than Mason Graham. I mean, imagine Carter and Garrett coming off the edge. I mean, that's terrifying. But Graham's still a good prospect. I'm not hating on it. Probably was the best interior D lineman in the class. In the second round of the draft, they ended up going with Quentin Junkins from Ohio State. Personally, I was a bigger fan of Travion Henderson from Ohio State. I believe he was the better back in Ohio State. And to be honest, I don't know. I don't really agree with that pick. Pick 36, drafting a pretty mediocre college running back. Well, I guess his season in Ohio State was mediocre. Just I don't know if that's the greatest value there for that pick, but we'll see how that works out for him. And then, the 2 quarterback selections, Shadur Sanders going in the 5th round, and he actually looked really good in the preseason game versus Carolina. Now it's Carolina. Take that how you will, but he still looked really good regardless of how you want to talk about it. And of course, drafted before Shadur in the 3rd round, they went with Dylan Gabriel. Now, this one, I don't agree with this pick at all. Personally, Cleveland, especially if they were going to draft Shadur the whole time. This is a head scratcher because I believe Shadur is honestly was easily a better prospect than Dylan Gabriel. But I guess it doesn't hurt. They don't have their quarterback situation figured out. So I mean, the more the merrier. In that, another big move by the Browns this offseason was re-signing Myles Garrett to that pretty big extension. Not as big as CJ Watts, but big regardless. He's locked up for the next 4 years, which, Myles Garrett's a confusing individual. He's talking about winning and all this, and then he stays in Cleveland. Not trying to diss Cleveland, but, you'll have that. For the Browns this year is definitely the quarterback position. I mean, you got the 4 starters, Joe Flacco, Pickett, Gabriel, Shador. I don't know why I just last named everybody but Shador. That's just the aura. Throw up the wrist. Throw up the wrist, IRL. So getting into the record now for the Browns, I'm not going to lie. It's a brutal start of the season. I could see the Browns starting off 0-6 to start the year. Maybe even 0-7, depending on how people view the Dolphins. But with that being said, if they do figure things out, I do believe some of those games are winnable at the beginning of the season. They do have a decent stretch towards the middle of the season, playing 3 straight AFC East teams: Dolphins, Patriots, bye week, then Jets. And I could see them turning the season around right there. And towards the end of the season, the schedule definitely lines up compared to the beginning, but they still have some pretty big games at the end of the year. Overall, I'm gonna say the Browns are finishing with a record of 6-11. I can see a ceiling of 7-10. So I'm being there. I think they're gonna finish towards their ceiling, but floor I see 4-13. I think somewhere in the 6-7 win range would be possible for the Browns on a good season here. But can they get the running game going? Can they get some sort of production from another receiver besides Judy? O line, Njoku, Browns, 6-11. Coming in at the third spot, it's going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. Not giving my record yet. I think the Bengals are going to be a little bit more consistent this year, hopefully, off the bat. For the Bengals, their offseason, re-sign Chase, re-sign T. Higgins. That's good in a way, but putting your money towards two wide receivers when you could have improved the team strategically better, I think is questionable. Now, I'm not going to hate on this. I'm one of the biggest T. Higgins fans out there, so I like the idea of him and Jamar Chase. And so we just know the Bengals offense is going to produce. That's what they do. That's what their team is based off of. Defensively, though, that's where the question marks have to be obviously brought up. Now, they finally signed the rookie D end in the draft, Shamar Stewart. Unbelievable it took that long. Defensively, it's still a questionable unit. Did they improve? Not really. I mean, the team didn't really overall improve, if you ask me. Going into the record of the Cincinnati Bengals, their schedule starts off a little kinder, actually a lot kinder than the Browns did. The first 3 games, even 4 games of the season, I think are all winnable for Cincinnati. Throughout the season, it's definitely balanced out till there's that one stretch where they're going to have to play the Ravens, Bills, Ravens, which is going to be kind of rough on them. With that being said, their floor for me personally, I am going 9-8 as the floor. Ceiling, I can see them going 12-5. And record, kind of like how I had Cleveland's only 1 game off, I have Cincinnati going 11-6, finishing third in division. Coming in at the second place in division, I'm going to have the Pittsburgh Steelers. I've witnessed Steeler football my whole life. I know how this goes. Believe me, I don't. I wish they would tank. I wish they would just suck it. Pause. My fault. I wish they would just, blow it up for a couple of years, but we know that's not going to happen. They're going all in this year and getting into their off season. Obviously, the big move was trading for DK Metcalf. It's not encouraging to come to Pittsburgh, especially with how the passing offense was last year. And Aaron Rodgers, how that's going to be. I don't think it's going to be good. I think it'll be better than it was with Wilson and Fields last year, but that's not saying much considering it was pretty bad. And the money we're giving DK Metcalf, wow. I mean, 33 million a year, 60 guaranteed. Are we serious? Anyways, I do like the idea of that. Trading George Pickens, obviously, in the offseason to the Cowboys, it needed to be done. His time in Pittsburgh was just, it's over. The next big move was obviously the Jalen Ramsey and Jonnu Smith acquiring and giving away Minka Fitzpatrick. May his soul rest in peace. But with that being said, bringing in Jalen Ramsey, I feel like him and Minka right now at the current state in their careers are about similar skill level. And Jonnu Smith, of course, on the offense. I mean, Arthur Smith's probably going to mess around and not use him nearly as much as he should. But, it's still a good addition considering how weak, the Steelers' offense is right now with the weapons. But I honestly like the trade. Signed Darius Slay. I think that's huge. We have 3 cornerback ones now. And of course, on the front 7, you got the Cameron Haywards, TJ Watts, Alex Highsmith still. And then, of course, the big move, already talked about it a little bit, Aaron Rodgers. I guess it's not the big move, but one of the more bigger moves by the Steelers this offseason, bringing him in. I mean, personally, I feel like we all knew that was going to happen. Now, granted, Aaron Rodgers has had interviews, but it was pretty clear now that he was going to come to Pittsburgh. So now talking about the draft, of course, Derek Harmon was the first round pick, and it was a solid pick. I'm not hating on the pick. I think it was a good value pick. He was one of the better. He was probably one of the best pass rushing defensive linemen in the class. So they get him at 21, especially when I think 3 had already been taken off the board. I like that. Caleb Johnson was the 3rd round pick. Now, the preseason game versus Jacksonville looked like Najee Harris 2.0. I'll be honest, it did. And now looking at the offense, of course, the wide receiver room is pretty hot garbage besides DK Metcalf. I mean, Calvin Austin has the potential to break out. Now, talking about the record of the Pittsburgh Steelers, my Pittsburgh Steelers, I believe that really similar to Cincinnati. It's evened out. There's definitely going to be some hard points. It's easily a lot better than it was last year. It was rough last year as a Steelers fan. With that being said, I got a floor of 9-8 because they just will not lose. They'll lose maybe floor of 8-1. There you go. Ceiling, I have them at 11-6, and record, I have them at 11-6. Now to talk about the team that I think is going to finish first. Obviously, it hurts to talk good about them, but I will be unbiased for this. The Ravens going into the draft, somehow every single year it seems like they just let the good prospect fall to them. Malachi Starks at 27, Mike Green at 59. It's just how do the Ravens always get the good prospects to fall to them? It just always happens. I will never deny that about Baltimore. They are definitely good at just taking the good prospect when it's there. Lamar Jackson, Kyle Hamilton, just to name a few in the recent history. Now looking into the Ravens offseason, biggest re-signing was them re-signing Ronnie Stanley to a 3-year deal. He's been one of the better offensive linemen in the league when he stayed healthy, of course. And in the offseason, they signed DeAndre Hopkins. Now, obviously, they're not getting, peak value DeAndre Hopkins, but I mean, it's DeAndre Hopkins at the end of the day. I think he'll still provide a pretty big impact on the wide receiver room, considering besides Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman, I don't really trust anybody else in that wide receiver room. So that's a good wide receiver 3, especially with his experience. Looking at the team, I mean, it's probably the most complete defense in the NFL. If you're asking me, the secondary, I mean, we'll see how Jair Alexander plays into this. If he's going to be the Jair Alexander that we know and love from Green Bay, or is he going to show maybe signs of regression from not playing that much the last couple of years? Linebacking room, Roquan Smith, Trent Simpson, I think, was really strong last year, and Kyle Van Noy was pretty productive at his old age. We'll see if he can give that type of a season again. Offensively, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. I mean, two of the best at their positions, if not the best. No, Henry's not the best running back, but Lamar's probably the best quarterback in the league, depending on how you view quarterback. Derrick Henry, if he's going to put up another monster year, go Derrick Henry. But please leave the Steelers alone. Now to talk about the Ravens record, they have a pretty ridiculous start of the season. Buffalo, Detroit, and Kansas City and Houston in the first 5 weeks is pretty tough. And LA week 6. I mean, it's not an easy start to the season. They get out of those first 7 games healthy and looking sharp. It's going to be dangerous. The biggest question for the Ravens obviously will be the postseason. We know this. It's always the postseason. Can they get over the hump and get to the Super Bowl? The floor for the Ravens this year, I'm going to give them 11-6. Ceiling, I'm going to give them a 14-3. And the record, I'm going to give them a 13-4. I think once they get rolling, they're going to be a dangerous team and you're not going to play them. Now, of course, injuries. The Ravens always seem to have bad injury luck. It just happens with Baltimore. I don't know what the trainers are doing down there, but every year, maybe not every year, but every couple of years, they just have a season where they're just banged up with big expectations. It just happens. So, thank you for tuning in and watching. Final predictions: Ravens number 1, Steelers Bengals 2-3. I think that's interchangeable. It'll probably depend on how the division wins and losses or AFC wins and losses work. I think they're going to finish with the same record. Of course, they could finish with different records, and I sound like an idiot. In 4th place, I got the Browns. So, Browns fans, I'm sorry. Somebody's got to finish 4th, and unfortunately, it's just easily the most questionable team. I mean, it just is. I mean, the Bengals are questionable. Bengals, I think, could honestly hit or miss. They're just going to be the Bengals. Bengals could be Bengals. I dropped the mic. Hey, we have fun around here. I am a non-biased Steelers fan who's biased but loves the game, so he doesn't show bias towards official stuff here, guys. I wouldn't do that. I just wouldn't. Appreciate it, guys. See you later. What's crack-a-lacking good lookins? Was that bad? What's crack-a-lack? No. We can't say it was crack-a-lacking to start it off. Gang, gang, Gucci gang, gang. Psst, psst, psst. I'm off to a horrible start. I'm gonna be great. The greatest, like Ali.